tell me, how are you represented as one of 100,000 people by one person? The people who wrote the Constitution would have thought that was absurd to even suggest that that is political representation at those sorts of huge numbers. And the agreement in the 18th and 19th century is that it should be around tens of thousands. So 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people is the correct size for a legislative district. But now we're looking at stuff that's magnitudes of 10 sometimes above that. So that just doesn't make any sense. And call your legislator and expect them to act like they're your neighbor or that you have a lot in common. That's just not the reality. And it's, of course, way, way worse in the House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives, where it's about 500,000, 600,000, I believe, the last time I checked, per district, which that just means you're nothing. You have no influence over these people on an individual level. And it certainly wasn't that way as originally designed. But you got people so wedded to the status quo that they'll say, well, if you just let members of Congress represent only 50,000 people, you would have to have thousands of members of Congress, and we cannot do that. So therefore, since apparently the size of Congress is the most important principle in the universe, then we just have to make the congressional districts bigger and bigger forever until the sun burns out, because to change that would just be crazy and radical. Whereas all those people are really telling me is that the United States is much too large and you can't have a functioning legislature that represents on a reasonable level that liberals, classical liberals, would have considered reasonable in the 19th century. So maybe you need to split the U.S. up into some sort of different representation scheme rather than just double down on congressional representation that has been in place since the 1920s. So it's now been 100 years since they increased the size of Congress. But before that, they increased the size all the time for good reason. But now suddenly we don't need that anymore. And now everything's just so great in Congress. So why change anything? But that's the attitude a lot of people have.